All right, folks, we're going to open up questions. Front row, middle, Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Hi, Ryan. Can you discuss the impact of Justin Fry, just what he's brought to the offense as a whole? The offensive line seems to be playing well. Running game seems to be clicking. Just what has Coach Fry brought to the table?
A lot of things. I think he has really done a good job of, first off, building camaraderie in that group. As you know, the offensive line has to have chemistry, and I think he's built good relationships there. I think he's built credibility just in his teaching and the way that he teaches. But we're off to a good start there. We still got a long way to go. We still are building. We're growing. There's still a lot of things we need to get better at, a lot of things. But I think you can see that we're targeted. We're playing with an edge, running off the football. And that has had a big impact on our offense and the way that we're trying to strike that balance. But I think his impact has been felt.
I know Mayan is in better shape this year, so that's probably one reason he's looking so good. But what's maybe another difference about Mayan this year?
I mean, you definitely can see it. Yeah, I mean, he had a really good preseason. I thought he had one of the better preseasons of anybody that was going into the season. And but when you go back, he has had some good games for us. I think he's been probably more consistent, just day in and day out, and taking care of his body because he does run really violently.
Fourth row middle, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, during the offseason, we talked about Tanner a lot, but I think it was more what he could bring from Oklahoma State to help run the defense. When you guys looked at him on film, what did you see as a player on the field that maybe we didn't talk about enough in the offseason?
We watched film of him, but we also took a lot of recommendations from Jim on that one because he obviously knew him very well. So, the feedback that we got, and certainly we did watch film and saw that he did have some production. And having a veteran guy back there was going to be critically important as we made that transition to the 3 safety system and building a little bit more depth back there and another number. So when you kind of add all those things up, it made sense for us. But it was also about who Tanner is as a person. He really, you don't just walk into this environment here and, demand respect. You have to earn it. And he's done that. He did it in a short period of time, really helped the guys learn the system. And but you can see his ability. He made 2 huge plays in the game on Saturday night in a big spot. So his experience, preparation, and hard work's paying off.
Third row right, Rob Muller, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, you're offensive coach. You even call Jim the head coach of the defense, but you still have to know something about defense, and you have to stick your nose in there. What's the percentage of time you spend in a week looking at defense? Are you in those meetings? Just don't want to give the impression that this is like total hands-off.
Yeah, well, on Sunday, we come in, meet with the offense, go through the film, and then on Sunday, go do the same thing with the defense. And we talk about personnel, we talk about schematics, we talk about what's coming ahead, what we need to get done during the week. And as the week goes on, we just have discussions about things that are going on in practice and, personnel on the other side, schematics. But I try, because I've been there before. I feel like, when I say something, as the head coach, people usually, overreact. That's just the way it is. Now, Jim has been great. He doesn't do that. Sometimes he allows me to say things and he takes it in and we have a discussion about it. And he's very, very intelligent that way. But at the end of the day, I want him to trust his instincts on things. But I try to be someone to just kind of throw ideas off, looking at it through the offensive side of things. And then obviously just the culture of the team is more where I'm involved with, and with those guys in special teams. And but the schematics and the day-to-day stuff, that's really all him.
How much do you get to know guys, the players on defense? Do you wish you could get to know more? Is it?
I think that's where the special teams comes in, and that's where I try to do the best I can throughout the week when I'm not on the field, with the offense or in meetings with the offense. Try to get around those guys the best we can and spend as much time as we can and take good care of them. And I think they all recognize that and understand that, in order for this to work, the offense has to be right as well. And I think that they respect that. And, it's worked.
Right behind him, Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
Ryan, I think it's sometimes kind of silly to critique or criticize CJ because he's basically being judged against perfection. But after the game, he talked about he has to make sure he doesn't get bored or lose focus. I'm wondering, did you see any of that after watching film maybe?
I thought he played well. I thought he was efficient. I thought he made some really good throws. But like everybody, there's always things that you got to grow on. You got to get better at. He knows that. And that's unlike any game. I think people ask, what can he get better at? And everything. I say that after this week. I said it at the beginning of the week. I said it last year. And if he was here for another 3 years, I'd say the same thing. I mean, every week you got to get better. He's not, like you said, he's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. So, and don't expect him to be. Don't want him to play that way. Certainly don't want the guys ever thinking they have to be perfect. I want them to play and trust their eyes and trust their instincts. So still a lot to learn from, a lot to grow from, but you can see his progress has been strong, and as he's building and getting better.
You talked about not wanting to put too much on his plate. Do you consider putting more on his plate to make sure he stays engaged, or is this?
No, I think he's being critical of himself. He's engaged. He's doing a great job. I mean, I think, he has to answer some questions that are probably unfair to him. I mean, throwing 5 touchdowns again and beating a team the way we did and playing the way we did. I mean, that's a heck of an outing. So, he's probably just trying to explain a couple of bad passes, and that's okay. He's going to have a couple passes that he reads that he wants back. I had about 10 calls that I wish I had back. That's just the way football goes. So, if you poll a lot of the guys in the NFL this past Sunday, I'm sure there was a lot of them that said the same thing. So that's playing football. And when you play against, conference opponents like we do and teams like Wisconsin, there's going to be things that come up that maybe didn't the week before. And that's where you got to continue to grow. And that's what we're talking about going into these past couple of weeks, is identifying the issues and making sure that you address them and learn from them and grow.
Right next door, Cameron T. Robinson, The Athletic.
Ryan, you mentioned CJ and how much he just wants to get better all the time. From where you saw him against Notre Dame to now, where have you seen the most growth from him in the last 4 weeks?
I just think he's gotten into a rhythm a little bit with the offense, and again, losing Jackson really got us out of rhythm in that game for sure. And the way the defense was playing, we just decided to run the football because we felt like we were, and that was okay. That's how we won the game. And I thought down the stretch in that game he was excellent. I think he was about 9 of 10 and really good in the fourth quarter. But having Marvin and Emeka and now Julian, Xavier Johnson, that's a whole different group than he had last year. It was Chris, Garrett, and Jackson, and he didn't have any 3 of those guys out there. And Jeremy Ruckert was the tight end. So I think what we've done is we've built the offense around those guys now, which is a little bit of a different feel. And I think CJ's embraced that, and he's gotten to some chemistry with those guys over time, and those guys have settled into some roles, which has been really the blessing, the silver lining behind not having Jackson here for some of these games.
Have you been, I don't want to say surprised, but maybe impressed at the way the receivers have played, knowing the injuries you guys have had over the last 4 weeks?
No, it's about what we see in practice, about what we expected, but proud of the way they played, and I know they still feel like there's a lot of meat on the bone, and but the chemistry is being built, and there's been some production obviously in that room, and also in the tight end room.
Fourth row left, Andy Andrews, Buckeye Sports.
Yes, Ryan, I had a couple questions relating to Cade Stover. Just kind of watching the game back, his run blocking kind of popped. When did you start seeing that from him and his development, and when did that kind of emerge as a big part of this game?
It's one of those things when you're developing as a tight end, it takes time, and sometimes you feel like you're working, and you're not making any progress, and then all of a sudden one day you wake up and you're like, here we are. And I think that's happened with Cade. It took some time to get there, because you have to do so many different things. But he had a great offseason. His leadership was off the charts. And I think along that journey, there was probably some doubt along the way, but he stuck with it. He was resilient. He persevered through that. And because of that, he's stronger for it today. And now you're seeing the best version of him.
Obviously, there was a lot of his blocking success came in line, maybe from kind of that split wing position. But also, I wanted to ask specifically, there was a play early in the game, I believe it was a bubble to Mecca, where he was split out in the slot and served as the lead blocker on that bubble screen. What about his skill set makes him a good blocker in space on those kinds of plays?
Well, I think when you look at Cade, when you look at Mitch, when you look at G, when you look at all of our receivers, they block on the perimeter, and that's a strength for us. And it has to be moving forward. I mean, they're all strong, rugged players. And so, yeah, anytime you can get guys out in space like that, and I know exactly which play you're talking about. I mean, Cade did an excellent job on that safety or nickel, whoever that was. I mean, he was strong. His hands were inside. He used good technique, and that created a play of probably about 8 to 10 yards for us. And we look at that as the run game, and that's just an extension of the run game, and it's forcing defenses to cover us sideline to sideline. And then once you start to spread them out, then you want to start running at them inside, and that's the idea. but you have to have guys who are willing to block on a perimeter, and Cade's one of them. But I would say that all of our receivers are doing a good job out there on that.
Fourth row left, Jacob Benj, Lantern.
Yeah, hey, Ryan, I wanted to ask a couple of broader questions. This Saturday, they're recognizing the 100-year celebration of Ohio Stadium, and wanted to get some of your memories just on, the shoe, since you've been a coach at Ohio State. Just what sort of memories come to mind when you think about Ohio Stadium and the shoe and coaching down there in that field?
Yeah, in a short period of time, have some great memories. I think the Penn State game in 18 was one of my greatest memories, being down 3 scores going into the fourth quarter. That blackout was unbelievable. Running out of the stadium the first time in that Oregon State game was kind of a surreal experience. Some of the wins against the team up north were huge. Just great memories of being in the stadium, hearing Hang On Sloopy at the end of the third quarter. Just the band, even pregame, statement of being in that stadium. But I'd say probably my 2 favorite things is listening to the crowd after a touchdown, or listening to the crowd after a third down sack or stop. Are my 2 favorite things, because that's when I think the stadium's at its loudest. And when you look back on those times, it makes you smile.
From a Big Ten perspective, with conference play getting fully underway, teams play tough against each other. Hit losses here and there for other teams and things like that. I think there are 4 undefeated teams left in the Big Ten. Do you ever have concerns that at the end of the season there might be CFP implications from teams playing tough against each other in the Big Ten, or for your team or otherwise?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's always a concern. Yeah. I mean, anytime you play one more game, that's 7 more losses in the conference. But it is what it is, and that's what makes this the best conference in the country. And you have to bring it every week, and that's why we talk about competitive stamina. We're not allowed to have a bad day. And again, this is a message that's been going on for a long time, and here we are, now we're kind of getting into the conference play, and we got to do it again this week.
Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated.
Hey, Coach, your thoughts on a secondary that was obviously a bit shorthanded this weekend. After watching the tape, how you feel it played?
I'll give a lot of credit to Tim Walton and Jim for getting those guys ready, and then for Jair and JK to step up the way they did. Very proud of them. But I think it goes to show you these guys both practiced all spring, all preseason. I don't think they missed a practice between the 2 of them. And when you're going every day and you're practicing, the only way to get better is to practice, and they did. And so when we went to put them in the game, the whole team believed in them because they saw it in practice. We knew it wasn't going to be perfect, but they played very well, and they're both very talented. You could see it out there when they stepped into it. And so now they got that first start under their belt in a huge environment. So now hopefully they can, find the speed of the game. And I think about, the first start for a lot of guys, it's hectic. It's a lot of emotion. It's crazy. It's exhausting. But now they can move on, get that past them, and focus on getting better.
I want to ask you a question about play calling. One, your sort of how you have evolved as a play caller, your influences. There were a lot of people that were very complimentary of the way that you called this game. So I'm just curious how you evaluate at the end of the day, hey, what did I do well? What do I want to do better next time? And how do you keep learning?
Yeah, I always say they're good calls if they work, right? I mean, I'm dead serious. I mean, it's a good call to go for it on 4th down if you convert. It's a great call if it works. And so it's the players and the coaches who, put the plan in, teach it, walk through. I mean, just to get one play ready. We missed a play that we had an opportunity. It drew up exactly the way we wanted to. The protection broke down and we didn't hit it. And it was like a knife right into your chest. I mean, hours and hours and hours of time for that one play. And we didn't quite get it. But there was a lot in that game that we did get. And there's a lot of work that gets put into one single play. And I think our guys are taking some pride in their execution. But at the end of the day, it's about players, not plays. And I think, as coaches, we can start talking about, play calling and this and that. I mean, at the end of the day, get the ball to your best players. And if those plays are working, guess what? They're going to get called again. If it doesn't work, it's probably not going to get called again. And it's as simple as that. And you trust the guys around you. But that's why we talk all the time about how important Tuesday and Wednesday is. you got to put the work in so that you've prepped and you've worked against all the different looks so you can execute on Saturday.
Second row left, Steve Hellwagon, 24/7 Sports.
Same vein, I think when you were up 28-0, you'd run 23 plays and 13 of them had gone for 10 yards or more. What was so special? What was so great about those first 4 series that just 10, 12, 14-yard chunks? And I looked up, you didn't have a third down. The third down conversions were non-existent.
Yeah. Oh, we got into a good rhythm early on. We hit a couple of those passes and that was big. And then, we were getting some good movement in the run game. I thought we were targeted pretty well early on. And CJ was making some really good throws. I thought the protection early on was strong and guys made plays. And so, when you have that balance of run and pass, then you can be more and more explosive because they can't gang up in one area. And I think that you're seeing certainly our weapons on the outside, but now you're seeing our weapon with Cade, the running game. So we're going to keep trying to build in those areas so that, they can't hopefully take away one thing against us, then maybe it opens up something else. But it all comes down to execution. And, it could be a great play. It can be all designed well, but if we're not executing it at a high level, it doesn't work. And I think to answer your question, it's about the execution, and it was good in that first half for sure.
Right next door, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
A lot of time has been spent over the last couple of years talking about Julian's health for obvious reasons. But now that he's back on the field, what did you guys like about him as a wide receiver coming out of high school? How much of that have you seen coming?
Yeah, first off, his physicality, his work ethic, his ability to get the ball. I think you can see what you didn't, really notice probably, or maybe you have to go back and watch, is just how physical he is in a run game. So that's a huge advantage for us in the run game that probably not a lot of people are talking about, cracking safeties and going down and being physical, where, in the run game, typically there's somebody extra coming down in the box. We know that. We've talked about this for years. Well, if you have a wide receiver like Julian, like a Mecca, like Mar, like X, like some of these guys who are going in and making blocks on those safeties, well, now we can get the ball to the corner, and that makes a big difference. So that part's big. But then even in the pass game, you can see how physical he was on a couple of those runs after he caught the ball, in particular the touchdown. Just strong and powerful. And you have to understand what kind of a receiver you are. And because of his strength, he's a mismatch for a lot of DBs.
Given where he came from school, where it was basically like blocking and run straight a lot of the times,
Yeah.
I don't know, it seemed like he had a different type of development. Maybe Jackson and some of the other guys in his class were having. Have you seen that development kind of take place, and where has he maybe come?
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, and everybody has their own journey, and everyone has a different background of where they come from, and he's on his own journey, and I think he's made a lot of progress, in his few years here, and I think now he's playing his best football, and he has come a long way in his development.
Right behind him, Dan Hope, left corner.
Ryan, with Jackson, it's not playing against Toledo or playing against Toledo, not playing against Wisconsin. When you're making that decision, how much of that's you? How much of that's Jackson? How much of that's the medical staff?
Yeah, it's the medical staff and Jackson. We always refer to the trainers and to the doctors, and then get the feedback from the player. And we try to do the best we can to, keep them as safe as we can in those moments, and we'll continue to do that.
When you look back now, is there regret playing him against Toledo?
No. I mean, you got to just trust in what you see in your evaluations, and then go from there.
What do you feel like is kind of a timetable for him now? Do you have to be even more cautious after he did have a step back?
I just think that it's a long season, and like you're mentioning, I don't think we want to move forward until we all feel really good about everything. But again, Jackson's still has a mindset of day to day, and we're not going to put any kind of timetable on it, and just he and the training staff are going to work hard. I know he's frustrated, but we're not as far away as we think. And if he just has the mindset of showing up every day and getting as much treatment as he can and taking care of his body, this will be behind us soon, and we still got a lot of football to play.
Front row middle, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, I wanted to ask about your success in the red zone this year. You're finishing drives this year more often with touchdowns than last year. What do you think's the reason behind that? What do you kind of
Well, I think we've run the ball well down there. We've been efficient, but then I think CJ's throwing and catching and the receivers have been pretty good. I mean, you think about the Toledo game and some of those catches that Marvin made and tiptoeing on the sideline in the back of the end zone, the one that Julian caught in the end zone, and then even the one that he threw to a Mecca there. I mean, those were tight windows, but that's playing quarterback at a high level in a red zone. Nobody's open. Maybe Cade was on that one, but that's rare. So I think that the protection's been good. I think the quarterback play has been excellent, and we're running the ball.
How much of a challenge is that for a young quarterback last year? Just when the red zone, everything gets smaller,
Tighter,
having
yeah.
to deal with that.
Oh yeah, that's a big part of it. Third down, red zone for a quarterback. That's where you make your money, and we've worked hard on that. We spent a lot of time on that during the preseason. So we're going to have to continue to do that. It only takes one bad day and you're out of whack. So we're going to stay hungry and make sure we're doing a great job down there.
In addition to CJ, does some of the other stuff too, like the eye formation stuff, just some of that stuff help?
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. We're trying to be diverse and do different things so that, teams can't gang up on what we're up to. I think at the end of the day, it's execution, but hopefully some of the different looks are giving us a little advantage.
Rivals 97.1 The Fan.
When you said after week one, you didn't really buy into the coaching cliche of the jump from week one to week two, are there other coaching mantras that are commonly accepted wisdom that you think are nonsense?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes coaches talk too much.
Is there anything that you can think of that you think a lot of your peers believe that you don't think is true about college football?
Nothing strikes me offhand. I'd probably have to think about it. I don't know. I just know that, at the end of the day, we all do a lot of talking, and it's about hard work. It's about the players. And coaching is still about teaching. It's about counseling. It's about, relationships with players. And we all want to win, but we got into coaching for the right reasons, and that's to have an impact on young men. And we can't lose touch with that, with everything that goes on today in college football, for sure.
Teaching and counseling, and Dan asked about Jackson. This month hasn't gone the way he envisioned, and he's not through the process yet. What is it like for you and Coach Hart, I guess, to manage that, help him get through? How's he been handling that part of it?
Yeah, he's been okay. I mean, he hasn't been great. He's struggling. He wants to play. He's one of the more competitive players I've been around before. But it rarely does it go the way you expect it to go. That's just life in general. So life's going to throw adversity our way, and we control the response. There's just so many things in our life that we're not going to be able to understand. And so these are great opportunities for us to help them deal with that down the road. And we talk to our team a lot about that, just about the different things. And, how many guys in that locker room, their career or the season or last game has played out exactly the way that they want it. So we try not to talk to them too much about focusing on expectations and just focusing on the moment the best they can. And not easy for him, I'm sure. But if he can keep doing that, then this will be behind him soon, and he'll be stronger for it.
Third row, Adam King, WBNS 10 TV.
Coach, you talk about competitive stamina all the time. I'm curious if at this point it gets harder to focus on competitive stamina when you're beating Wisconsin 52 and putting up in 77 against Toledo. How hard is it to actually implement that right now?
Well, it's been implemented. Now it's just a matter of do we do it. But we have to be all over the human element. The human element is to, not be disciplined and do the same things that you've done the week before. But that's exactly what we talked about on Sunday. And that's what we're going to talk about today going into this week. Every time you go into a game, you have to get physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared to play in that game. And it usually takes, 24 to 48 hours to come down off of that. It's just, that's how competitive it is to play in an environment like that, in a game like that, a conference game. So we got to do that again for 3:30 on Saturday against Rutgers. And that's the discipline of trying to become great and try to reach the goals that we're going to strive for. So, new challenge this week, but again, we've talked about this, we've prepared for this. It's been implemented. Now it's just a matter of executing it.
When you see how the offense has shown out in the last two games compared to the first two games, you used the word clunky early on this season. How different are those meetings now? Do you change any of your coaching style now that things are working on the field?
No. Did you try to be consistent? Was consistent after the Notre Dame game. Didn't knew that we had a curveball thrown our way without Jackson. There was certainly a lot game plan to target number 11 in that game. And then when he was out, it was like, oh boy, where am I going now? But we solved the problems and got it done. And those are the contingency plans and the paranoia that coaches go into games with. That's why when you see us walking back and forth like crazy people before the game, it's usually because, okay, what happens if this happens? And I got to tell you, like, I didn't have a long list. What if Jackson goes out and, early in the game? So I got caught a little bit there, but the guys figured it out. We figured it out. Some guys stepped up, and then from there we've built, and I think that's been good to see some guys step up, to see the receivers, see the offensive line, the running backs, tight ends, and then to see the defense build and grow. I think there's a confidence level there too across the team that when our defense goes out there, they're going to get stopped, and that goes a long way across the board.
Do you find yourself rolling out a new wrinkle every week just to give people something to think about?
Yeah, we try to. I think that's the balance. Is you try to be creative. You want to, keep things fresh, give the defense new looks, and give the offense new looks, but also do the things that you know well. And we've gone, to both ends of those spectrums before. Too vanilla, they can tee off on you, or too much, and you have a struggle. You struggle to execute. So where is that balance? And that's where the work gets done during the week.
What's Greg Schiano's best trait as a coach?
He has a lot of great traits. He's an excellent motivator, creates great relationships with his players, motivates. He's very intelligent, really can drive, the whole program at a high level. He sees it, understands what needs to get done. I think he's an excellent leader and a very smart coach.
Coach, you worked very hard in the offseason on toughness, and that was one of the goals. How was the toughness Saturday night against Wisconsin?
I thought it was good. I thought you could see a lot of guys playing with an edge, and that's what our expectation is. And so now we got to continue to do it and find out again if this is just something we've done in a couple of games or if this is our identity moving forward. But I think we've shown that we can do it.
Look at Rutgers, Schiano. What do you expect Saturday out of them?
Yeah, a dogfight. They're 3-1. They've played good football this year. They have good players. Greg's into I guess it's his third year now, and so now he's starting to get his guys in there, and every year they get stronger. So like I said, nothing changes in terms of our preparation. We got to do a great job, and they're better than they've been in the past.
Between Denzel, Cam, and Hancock, any of those three that you expect to be able to play on Saturday, what is the evaluation process?
Yeah, we're hoping to have at least Cam and Denzel back. I don't think we'll see Jordan here for at least another week or so, but we'll see. We'll kind of evaluate it and get a better feel for it later in the week.
When you knew coming into this year that you had both a thin situation there a little bit, scholarship-wise, but also a very young room. Any of that play into why you wanted Tim Walton to be the guy to lead that group, or are there attributes that he has that you thought are just a good fit for a room that is that young, where you need to bring up the young guys?
Well, both. I think that Tim builds great relationships and has really done a great job of mentoring that room. But it was also the fact that Tim has a great resume. He was a player here. He relates well with the players. He's really intelligent, knows technique. I mean, he kind of checked all of those boxes that we were looking for, and he's a great person. And we're glad he's with us and he's a Buckeye.
Is that something you already knew him and those things about him, or was that something that was a process where you were getting that feedback from?
I had met him before, and then just you have so many people in such a small world and in the coaching industry, and when you talk to so many people after a while, and it's just all positive feedback, then people will tell you, and all it takes is a couple bad recommendations for you to walk away from somebody, but everything just came back glowing about Tim, and so you knew he was special.
Yeah, let me guess. The one that put the knife through your heart was the pass down the seam to Emeka that he couldn't step through. Okay. Figured.
Yeah.
Jair played, true freshman.
Yep.
Obviously, Denzel did that last year. JK's been in your year, probably a little easier. What did you see in Jair that made you think he's ready?
Well, I think it was just the practice. He's out there every day. Just doesn't miss a rep. It wasn't all perfect, but he's out there competing every day in practice. And when you're going against Marvin and Jackson and Julian and those guys and Mecca, that's really good work. And every day he was getting a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And you could see his confidence. He was confident going into the game. And, I think, again, Tim really did a great job getting him ready.
And Lathan Ransom did not play, if I'm right. He was not on the unavailable list. What happened with him, and do you expect him back?
Yeah, we do. We expect them back. I think going into this week, we usually meet on the availability report like around Thursday. We're going to meet a little bit closer to game time, so it's a little bit more accurate.
Over to second row right, Bill Landis, The Athletic.
Ryan, you've talked before about how it's okay. I forgive you. How G can be hard to figure for defenses how they want to defend him, and I'm wondering with what you were saying about Julian, if you see any similar effect because he's a bigger guy, he's so physical, and you can line him up sort of tighter to the formation. Sometimes, do you ever feel like it's some form of playing with an extra tight end out there?
With Emeka?
Julian.
Oh, with Julian, yeah. I feel like that with both of those guys. Yeah, anytime you can get a mismatch, however you get it, and their physicality is really showing out. And so because of that, you're seeing guys get open. You're seeing some separation. And some of that is because they're just winning with their speed and athleticism, which they really have on the outside. But sometimes in the play action stuff, you're seeing it because of the conflict they're creating.
You mentioned a couple times today how the offensive line was targeted better in the run game. And, we talked about that through the offseason. I think we wondered, well, what will you change schematically? Will you be more physical? How much of it was just your tracks being better and being able to identify those kind of things better?
I think it's all the above, but I think it's also the accountability of the guys up front. And but it's also the running backs, it's tight ends, it's everybody involved. And but I do think right now that they're coming off the ball better and they're targeting than they were at the beginning of the season. Each week they get a little bit better. So we'll keep growing.
And you've been able to get Kyle McCord into the game a couple times, but he's only thrown a handful of passes.
Yeah.
What's your balance between wanting to get him work, give him the full playbook, and just sort of run the clock out?
Yeah, that's the balance. You try to you want to get him those reps, but also when the game gets a certain way, you don't want to try to I guess upstage somebody. I just try to be sensitive to that in those moments, but at the same time, you like to get them reps, and so we've tried to create a few like short passes for them, and even like the bootleg pass that was kind of supposed to be in the flat, and kind of in the Toledo game, he snuck out the back end, and Kyle's just playing. It was a good read and a good throw, and it worked out. But late in the game like that, we try to respect what's going on, respect the game.
Do you ever sense Kyle gets frustrated when he's out there just kind of catching it and handing it off?
Probably. Yeah, he's competitive. He wants to do it, and he'll have his opportunity.
Time for a couple more. Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
Ryan, a lot of attention is paid to Mike Hall. 3-4 games on the defensive line, but Teron Vincent's a guy who kind of pops when you watch him on the film. Did you see that this offseason? And is it just a matter of him being healthy? Is it being a year older? Like, what is it about Teron that's making him play so well right now?
Yeah, I thought he played really well in this game. He ate up a lot of double teams. He was efficient, graded out a champion. And so, that's a big step for him because we need him to be strong inside. And with he and Mike in there together, they're powerful. And if we want to get to where we need to be, the D line's got to be the strength of our defense. I think it has been so far, but Teron probably played one of his better games on Saturday.
You watch every game back however many times you need to, but are you even surprised sometimes when you see Tommy making the plays that he's making? Seems like he's just on a different level right now.
Well, he's seeing it. He's playing fast. Like you said, he's downhill. He's diagnosing plays, and he's the leader of our defense.
Final questions, front row right, Tim May on 3, Letterman Row.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry. Back to Julian Fleming. What was that moment in preseason? I know you talked about that scrimmage where he put basically his shoulder back in or whatever, and went back in there and caught 2 touchdowns. But in the game settings, et cetera, when did he definitely in your brain just click off accountable? This guy, you can throw the ball. This guy, you understand what I'm saying? Because I would think there's some reluctance till a guy proves it. But and go ahead.
Yeah, well, I just think we practice so much. And football is such a unique game that way. Every other game, every other sport, you're always playing the game. Here you practice, and you just see things in practice, and you just see trends. And it's just a matter of time before we say sink to the level of your training in practice. But if you're doing it in practice every day against some of the talent we have on our team, then it's going to show up in the game. And so we believed in them, and we continue to believe in them. And now you're seeing what we see in practice.
And just a quickie follow on that. what's your highlight of him? Is it that catch he made on the sideline there against Toledo in the
I like the one he caught where he ran a couple guys over to finish it off. I mean, just the toughness and the physicality. He had a really good offseason with Mick in the weight room, and you could see it pay off right there.
That's gonna be my choice number 2.
I can beat you to it.
Yeah, exactly. And last thing, Mitch Rossi, what does it just do, for you guys schematically when you do give him that little inside handoff, when you do give him that dive, whatever? I mean, that's something you've rarely ever done, And what I don't know, what does it do for you knowing you've got that now and you have that threat to show the defense? You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. We kind of recognized it towards the end of last year, but hadn't really put a lot into it. And then as we went into the Utah game and the Rose Bowl, you could see we started to use Mitch a little bit, and then had a long conversation with him in the offseason about this very thing that you're talking about. And we see some things in Mitch that really can help us. And you're starting to see it. You're starting to see what he can do, and it's a weapon for us. And as we go, especially situationally, it's going to be very, very important for us. And like the touchdown that we had, the handoff that he had, like those are third down conversions. Those are big plays for us to keep drives going. So he's worked really hard, and he has some versatility. So he's a weapon for us.
Smart question, but why are y'all reluctant to call somebody a fullback?
You can call him whatever you want. I don't care.
You guys don't list a fullback. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess because it's been a while since we've had one.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
All right, folks, we'll open up front row middle. Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Hi, Tim. Coach said you're expected to get some of your corners back this week. That's got to feel good. Can you get into that a little bit, trying to get healthy there at that position?
Yeah, we just got to wait and see toward the end of the week how those guys feeling, and hopefully we get them back. It would be good to be at full strength with them, but we try to get the other guys ready because we won't know that till probably toward the end of the week.
I know the plan was not just to have 6 scholarship corners, but that's reality. Circumstances happen. Just how big of a concern is that for you, only having 6 scholarship corners on the roster?
No, you deal with the situation as it is. That's why we try to have everybody ready. Because when your numbers call, you got to be ready to perform. So we try to develop all the guys and make sure everybody's on the roster is ready to go because that's the part you can't control. So you try to control the controllables.
Right behind him, Nathan Barrett, Cleveland.com.
Because of the small numbers that you had out there this year, and it's a young room anyway, I guess. But did that increase the urgency to get Jair and I guess Ryan Turner too ready to contribute early this season?
We just kind of go about that plan anyway. We try to, because we know, over the course of time, things happen. So we always try to prepare for the unexpected, man. By when you're in the room, we try to treat every guy as you developing and preparing like you're going to play. That may not always happen, but we go through that process of preparing that way. So when you get the time, you're ready for it. And we can't do that week. That has to start weeks before that opportunity presents itself to you. So we kind of go in with that plan from the start.
As of the start of camp, how big of a role were you expecting Jordan Hancock to be playing right now, and how much of a kind of a hole is that leaving in your plan?
Yeah, we had big expectations for him, but again, like you said, you can't control those things. So that injury showed up, and then we had to go on to the next step. And that's why we try to really emphasize everybody in the room has to be ready, because it can change in a heartbeat. And we're still going to kick off on Saturday. So we have to take that approach all the time. Those things and that mature, developmental, being a pro type approach is what we have to take because of the fact you can't control things that happen on a day-to-day basis. So we try to make sure those guys are always ready to go.
Fourth row middle, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
I know that Tanner's not technically in the cornerback room, but he has a lot of those traits. I'm just curious, in working with him, what you've seen from him. He was a guy that this offseason we heard a lot about his knowledge of the defense because he came from Oklahoma State. And now I think we're seeing what he can do on the field. So what have you guys seen in practice from him?
Smart. Yeah, like you said, he has position flexibility. He's smart. He understands the defense, so the communication part with him is big, though that helps a lot with the corner because that's kind of a corner skill set a little bit. The same with Cam Martinez, those guys kind of interchangeable, flexible a little bit with that. But his knowledge and his communication and his veteran leadership, that helps the younger guys come along.
When a guy gets an interception, regardless of how it happens, do you see that just boost their play? I mean, I know that that's not the biggest thing, but it's a game-changing type of play. Does that change things with a guy?
Yeah, well, it is a big thing on the back end. Like I said, the ultimate goal is to get the football back. You know what I mean? So, and to intercept the ball. When the ball is in the air, the goal is for us to intercept the ball and come down with the ball. They're throwing it for us going to try to act like the receiver in that standpoint. So those momentum shifts and those plays like that really try to inspire. And hopefully it feeds us to try to go get more of them. You know what I mean? And try to get a flurry of these things coming so we can get a lot of interceptions in the next few weeks and kind of get a little spurt of it going.
Fifth row left, Mark Snyder, Press Pros.
Tim Ryan said that Brown and Johnson were ready to play, and he wasn't surprised by what they did because of what they did in practice. But everybody's got that first extended time in their practice of playing the game. How do they change now when the Under the Lights, Wisconsin, national TV? How do they change going forward mentally and confidence-wise?
Well, if you watch it, they took a lot of reps this offseason during training camp and everything. Those guys practice a lot, man. So, and we go against the best in the business every day at practice. So that preparation and giving them game ready, we kind of see that at practice a lot every day. And then on top of that, that's my job to try to make them calm and not bring any extra energy for them. Just playing football. So we try to keep that under understanding and go out and do what you're trained to do. Because, under pressure, the most ingrained behavior is come out. So we try to make sure we ingrain the behavior, how we play, and just focus on doing our job one play at a time.
What was your first start like, and what came of it? I mean, what did you think after that?
Well, it was the same thing. When I was here with Coach Cooper, we had a great veteran leadership, so same thing. Guys took me under their wing and helped me. And that calmness of playing with guys really made it. I had Vinnie Clark and older guys, that Bo Pelini, a lot of guys there that helped me when I was younger to approach the game, simplify the game for me, help with the communication so you could calm those nerves a little bit on game day. I can't remember.
Third row left, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Tim, just what is your overall evaluation of how Jair performed in that first game as a true freshman?
He did well. Obviously there's some things we have to correct, but he did well of handling those things. And we just try to go on each week and each day to try to be better than we were the day before. So that's kind of the approach we take to how well are we progressing on a daily basis. That game is over, so we start a new week, and we got to start back from scratch with that foundation and with the work ethic and all those little things to make sure we prepare again for this week.
He played well enough that you consider giving him more reps now, even when the room is fully healthy?
He plays well. We kind of take that as it comes, man. You know what I mean? Because like I said, every day, we try to have it that we're competing every day out there. You know what I mean? So it's a daily progression. It's a daily prove yourself on the field type deal. But he did well. He's maturing as a young man. He puts a lot of great effort into it, man. Him and JK, they both do a great job of coming in, getting extra work, trying to prepare yourself. You got to do all of that really starts at the beginning of the week. So we try to make it as hard as we can the first few days of practice at the beginning of the week so it can calm them down toward the end of the week. But he's putting all the effort in and the extra time in that you need to try to have yourself ready.
Right in front of him, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Obviously, the silver lining of some of these injuries is, I guess you want to call it that, JK's got a lot of reps these first 4 weeks of the season. And from the way Noel's talked about him, it's kind of a we'll see thing when we talk to him in fall camp about him. Just kind of give him an honest assessment of where he's kind of improved over the last 4 weeks and how he's played in those reps.
He's doing as well. Again, if you look at it, he and Jair probably have taken the most reps of all the guys from the beginning of camp to now. So over a period of time, those reps help you grow. You learn and you keep progressing. And he's the same way, man. He's passionate about playing football. He works at it. He studies, and we just try to keep growing each week, each day, and then we start it back over. You know what I mean? So we put that behind us and we started over fresh, because each week is a new game plan. Each week is a new progression of where we're going on who we're seeing. So they have the effort, the energy, the work ethic, which they do. And it's my job to make sure I kind of help them keep progressing with that. But he's all in with it, man. And hopefully, keep stacking good days. That's the whole model. Just stack good days. And then at the end, it should hopefully play out like we like it.
And Denzel, pre-injury, wasn't necessarily having the best start to his second year here. I mean, how have you maybe been coaching him through some of those mistakes and some of those things he's had?
A day at a time, man. You know what I mean? Like you have to have amnesia out there. Because things happen, you can't worry and dwell on things out there, because each week is a different challenge. So he's been doing a good job of putting it behind him, go to the next play, move on to the next game, and keep progressing. It's a long season. We're going to need all these guys coming down the stretch. So that's why we try to prepare everybody, man, and have everybody ready to go, because we got to be able to control the things that we can control and keep getting better every day and working on the mental mindset and toughness of being able to move on from the next play, good or bad. Good or bad, we move on to the next play, because you have to go play the next one.
He had moments where he was frustrated on the sideline with how things were going.
Oh, well, sometimes, when a guy gives a play, they'll get frustrated for a second, but he pops right back out of it, man, because they want to play well. You want to do well. So, but it doesn't linger. It doesn't dwell on it. Move on to the next one, and he has had a few good plays. So, we'll keep building, and he's all into it. So we look forward to him getting back, man, and having a great season for us.
Got time for just a few more questions. Fourth row, right, Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
So what did Sonny do to get in that game so early?
Well, he's been proving himself at practice every day, man. Again, he's a guy that's taking a lot of reps. He's got it. When you get a lot of reps, he's showing his level of maturity. He has he's very mature for a young age, and that starts, from home. His dad played with Lorenzo, man, so he has a football pedigree, he has a football background. I played with Lorenzo, so he's used to being in tough situations. He's been well groomed there. Coach Eliano's done a great job with preparing him, gets it ready, man, and he's really serious about it. So he's mature for it, for his age with that, and takes it real serious. So he's progressing. He's a big kid. They're strong, man. So we're just looking for more and more out of him each week. But he's showing he can handle it, and he takes football very serious.
Are you surprised? He should be a high school senior. He's in the box against Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. But like I said, it started where his dad did a great job with that, man. So and then Coach Eliano has really hit him hard with studying and preparing, and just trying to be ready for it, because like you said, they know when that number is going to be called, man. So you have to be ready for it. So that's the approach we try to take in the room with all the guys. And hopefully he keeps progressing, and we look for great things from him in the future.
Right next door, Cameron T. Robinson, The Athletic.
Jair kind of got called for that weird pass interference call where it didn't even look like the ball was thrown to his receiver. They score on that drive. How did you see him react to that? I mean, true freshman stepping in and be kind of a ghost call on that play.
We move on to the next one, man. I say it again. So it's all we try to really emphasize. The thing I try to do with all those guys is develop a great relationship with them, because when you play defensive back, you're on an island. Things happen. So we have to really work on our mindset on moving on to the next play. The ref is not going to change the call, no matter how mad you get or how upset you get it. So we have to move on to the next play, so it doesn't affect the next play. You know what I mean? So we try to make sure we take that approach. And I try to have that, if I'm not worried about it, don't you worry about it. So we can't really, dwell on it. So it happened. Let's go play the next one, because the next goal is to stop them. So we have to try to have that mindset. So we work on that, man, and not getting frustrated. And that's the approach we try to take with it, man. It's a mental mindset, tough capacity that we try to, work on how we go about approaching the game out there with that thought process.
And that can be hard for a true freshman, first time under the lights. Just what does that say about his maturity? He's able to put that away.
No, it's really good. It's really good with it. But like you said, we try to work on it at practice. We try to work on things. So even at practice, when things happen, we try to how we respond to things is a big part of how things happen out there. And, you know, that's even when you hit a stretch of things going good. You know, you can have a stretch of things going good and you relax a little bit and get confident. They hit you with one. You know, so we have to go to the next play regardless of the outcome of that play. It's one play at a time, and we truly try to go by that. Now, we may at times try to correct it in that moment in the middle of a drive. We may try to reach out and say something to you. So, you know, because we don't have a chance to get you to the sideline sometimes to try to get your mind in the right spot, but we really try to move on with that. So, and he's like I said, he's really worked hard on his mind of approaching and being ready for those moments. So we try to talk about those things. We watch a lot of film together, and that's a great part on his great job on his part, man, on being mentally tough to handle that situation.
Deep at the wall, Jeremy Birmingham, Rivals.
Tim, after 15 years in the NFL, and coming back to college football, you walk into a cornerback room that has 6 guys, 5 of which are first or second year players. So you go from coaching grown men to teenagers in a lot of cases. How was that a challenge that you liked, or has that made this first year more difficult than you anticipated? I mean, coming back to college, how has that been?
No, I like the challenge because my calling is the development of young men. You know what I mean? So it's fun to me. First of all, I get a chance to come back to my alma mater where I played football at. So that's like great for me. You know, that's heaven to be back under the grounds where I played on. So I know the history, I know the tradition, and I know what comes with that. And the fact that you get to work with young men who have a passion to play at a high level and you can be a part of their development is great for me. You know what I mean? So I look forward to the challenge. I embrace it. And we have a lot of great guys that love football, passionate about growing and learning. I know that starts with relationships. So I try to build great relationships with these guys. We work on football, and then I try to use, you know, some of the things that I know about the game to try to help them see the game through a different light and try to expedite their learning curve. And then, and it's been good with them, but it all starts with the relationship with them, you know, spending a lot of time with them on the mental approach to the game, on trying to understand the things that happen. And it really helps us a lot at practice. Because like I said, man, we see outstanding quarterback, a great quarterback, and we have great receivers that we face. So that challenge for us hopefully keeps building us to better us for Saturdays. And we take it all serious, and those guys have been doing a great job, but it's been fun on working on their development.
Didn't have a relationship in the recruiting process. He's on campus when you got the job here, essentially. Was it a surprise to you how mentally tough he is, or do you know much about the things that he's dealt with, you know, in recruiting and in his life before that?
Yeah, so, you know, I found out early because, you know, like I said, I think the key to everything is relationship and communication. So, you know, the day I got on campus, the first thing I did is reach out to all those guys and start the development right then. You know what I mean? So in January, we started those relationships. First about you as a young man and about life. And then the football part would take care of itself. But I got to get to know them. I have to know all the things about them. I have to know how they think, the things that trigger them, the things that their thought process. And if you develop that relationship and they know you care, when you coach them hard, when you own them real tough, it doesn't affect them because you took time to develop the relationship and learn about the man. The same thing with JK and Cam Brown and Denzel and all of those guys, you know, Ryan Turner, Jordan Hancock, you know, that time has to be put in to learn them and get, because they need to get to know you as well. Yeah, I mean, so I have to do the same things for us, opening up to get to know you, because you want to really know the guy that you're dealing with every day and to know that it's genuine. So you spend a lot of time on and off the field on developing that. So when you're in the heat of the moment, everybody know this is all about caring and it's about love in those moments of growth.
Front row, right, Tim May, whatever, Monroe, yeah. Tim, basically, when you came back, what is the biggest thing that's changed about the college game from when you played it that you had to sort of like maybe mentally adjust to?
Well, football is football. It's the, you know, obviously now things have changed with, you know, the athletes now are bigger, faster, stronger, man, you know, taking care of their body development is a lot different. And then, you know, the other outside piece of it, you know what I mean? Now, you know, you have the NILs and you have the social media and you have all those other things that come back that you try to pull guys in from to keep it about football with the distractions now, and those things play a bigger part in it. So you just try to hone in, develop a relationship, and make sure they can focus on the main things, which is their academics and football and taking care of their body and their family and faith. So you try to keep it in that structure, because now it can get all over the place with some of that stuff. And like I said, we got great kids, man, and these guys really work at it. But that's the the biggest difference of stuff, and that's a year-round process with things now. Obviously the recruiting part has changed because it's year-round all the time with stuff, with the different signing periods and stuff now. So that was all different from when I was in college last, or even when I played.
And two other quickies. Who's first on the list of the guys you can grab from maybe the safety room if you need them? Because obviously y'all were almost down to bare bones this past weekend.
Well, like we said before, we have Cam Martinez, that he's flexible. We have Tanner, guys like that. That nickel position, those guys can be flexible there. So those would be guys that have the possibility if things happen to move it around. And we try to, like I said, me and Pierre, we try to do a great job, man, of dual teaching and teaching guys things so that when it happens, you can be ready for any circumstance with that. But those would be the two guys.
Just the play just for halftime. Was that a blown coverage? Was that obviously it looked like JK maybe dropped off into his zone, whatever. I mean, obviously Tanner comes out of nowhere. It seems like to make the play, but
no, it wasn't blown.
What were you feeling as that play was developing, and what did you feel when Tanner knocks it away?
No, it wasn't a blown coverage at all. It was 4th and 3. So we were looking for him to get the ball out quick to try to get a first down, and then possibly try to get it in the field goal range with that, to try to steal 2 plays out of it. But they took a shot. So it was a 4th and 3 call to try to stop the short, quick game. They took a shot out of it in the zone coverage, and they went verticals out of it. Tanner was playing the half field, went over the top, knocked the ball down. So it was a great, and JK was just sinking, trying to get up under it. But that was a great play by Tanner to knock that ball down before the half.
Thanks, man.
Yes, sir.
A couple of questions. Front row, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Tim, just to follow up on Sonny, what do you see as his best attribute, best quality that he gives you guys? And I know you mentioned his size, but how much can that help you when you get kind of into the meat of the Big Ten play?
He's tough, man. He's tough, and he's seasoned for a young guy. And like I said, again, he's very mature and very seasoned for a young guy. He takes it serious. His approach to the game, his football knowledge, he can apply it. He can take the information from the classroom and apply it on the field. And not all young guys can do that, that he can take it from the classroom and go apply it on the field with minimal mistakes. And like you said, and he has a football background of football understanding. So he understands the game some. So, and his approach to it, man, like I said, he's very seasoned for a young guy. And I think it's going to be great things coming from him, man. And he fixes mistakes, the things that he make a mistake on early, he fixes them. They don't show up a second time. So that just shows the level of being able to have recall of things that we do to keep applying it. So I'm sure down the weeks, these things will get to show up on tape for us.
Was he playing, and to clarify, was he playing as much as he did last week because of the matchup, or was that Lathan being out?
Yeah, it's all different. Sometimes we play guys because of different, things that's going on. But he's working, man, and earning it, man. So we look forward to it, and Perry moved those guys around a little bit, man. Like I said, trying to get this experience as we going down the stretch, because we're gonna need all of them.
And right next door, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Tim, having spent so much time in the NFL, when you come back here, you've been used to dealing with men who were obviously pros. Now you're dealing with 18-year-olds. What adjustment did you have to make in your coaching? Because that's one standard, and here's another standard.
I try to hold them to the same standard, because most of the guys that come here, they want to go to the NFL. That's their mindset. So I just try to escalate their learning on teaching them the game. You know what I mean? Because most of the guys at Ohio State, their plan is to become future NFL players. So I kind of coach and teach them the same of learning the game, the details of the game. Now, obviously, it's a little slower with some guys because of the fact they learn it, but we try to push that envelope with understanding football and the IQ level, being able to apply the schemes and the systems and seeing how offenses are trying to attack us. We try to go about the same way to get them ready to play, because with that, some of those guys may be escalated and having to play real early. And right now, and we play big time football out there with great opponents that we see. So you have to start getting them ready right now. So it's I kind of take the same approach with it, because that's their end goal anyway. of where they want to get to. So I kind of take that approach with them, and may have to slow it down some with some things, and is a progression to get to it. But you try to go about that same approach and just in a little bit of a slower rate.
When did you find out that you were not going to have Cam or Denzel, and what was that feeling like?
It was toward the end of the week. You know what I mean? Like I said, everything is kind of day-to-day basis as we're going through those things. But like I said, I go in with the approach of having everybody ready, because you got to control the controllables, control what you can control. So we go in, and we really emphasize everybody trying to be ready, because you never know. And when your number is called, we're kicking it off on Saturday regardless. So we have to be ready for that. You know what I mean? So, and if you prepare them, show confidence in them, and those guys know that you believe in them, they'll go give you your best. Like I said, we got great guys, man. And JK and Jair have done a great job of preparing and working. And again, they practice a lot. You know what I mean? So they got a chance to see. So the way you get better is practicing. So they've taken a lot of reps. So a lot of that, and if you show confidence in them, they'll go perform, So
When you told them, what was their reaction?
they were excited about it, but they kind of ready for it. They kind of expect it, you know what I mean, when opportunity comes, you know what I mean? So it was a good feeling for them, and they did a great job. And but like I said, we try to go about that daily approach with all the guys, because it can change in a heartbeat.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will. Thanks, buddy. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, we'll open up Nathan Baird, second row middle, Cleveland.com.
Mitch, this tight end room always seems to have like a very kind of like, blue collar mentality to it. Receiver, maybe a little bit more of a glamour position. What sort of mindset change did you see in G. Scott as he had to transition between those two rooms and maybe take on more of that blue collar identity?
Yeah, that's a good question. It'd be funny for you to ask G about that too, because he talks about that with me sometimes, about how, when we watch film of other tight ends and kind of the standard we hold ourselves to. And I think it started with Luke, Jake, Ruck, and kind of has passed down to us. And we just take pride in our toughness. Obviously, Cade's that type of guy too. So I think it's just the culture of the room. And G's really done a great job of embodying that and taking pride in his blocking and everything that goes into the job. So it's been a good transition for him.
When did you kind of see a change in him? The most important kind of change to get him?
I think it's just it's a developmental position, so it takes time to kind of figure out how to position your body for those difficult jobs, all the different things you have to do. Because coming from a wide receiver and a tight end, you got a pass pro, a 9 technique defensive end like Zach Harrison, blocking space, Ronnie Hickman, get open against safeties and everything. So it's just a developmental position, and he's been bought in the whole time, and just steadily coming along.
Front row right, Austin Ward, Rivals, 97.1 The Fan.
Mitch, is that shirt for sale somewhere?
It might be. If you like it, I'll get one to you.
Very much like that.
Yeah.
Coach Wilson said that about 2 years ago he was talking to you about fullback-like responsibilities and carving out that role for you. Did you believe that, given sort of the spread elements of this offense and not even having that, or did you think that he was, did you think that was straight up? Did you actually believe it?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. It was tough, because sometimes it didn't seem like there was really a whole lot of light at the end of the tunnel. But I did believe in his idea and his vision, because he's done that before, and he would kind of show me stuff that he's done at other places, or successful NFL teams they're using that would work well against when we're scheming up defenses. So I just kept the faith and just kept working. And then if maybe the fullback role wasn't as big as I had hoped at certain points, to try and develop the other parts of my game too, so that it could be used in other ways in the offense.
Even if you believed in that part, did you think there would be jumbo I formation and a fullback dive part of that? That's probably the biggest leap.
Man, if you could tell like 18-year-old Mitch, or show him that that he would be absolutely juiced about that. That's pretty awesome. I think it's just a testament to a lot of work that I've done, and coaches having faith in me, and calling it in the game, and it's been awesome. Yeah.
Fourth row middle, Andy Anders, Buckeye Sports Bulletin.
Yeah, Mitch, I just wanted to kind of ask you about what Cade's like off the field, kind of take a picture of his personality a little bit.
Oh, wait, ask me about Cade. It's funny. Cade's awesome. I think Cade has, his background of farming. He's got strong family values. Sometimes we'll be having conversations about where do we want to end up when we're done playing football, and I probably want to get back to Tennessee or the South. People talking about living at the beach. Cade is going back to where he came from, Lexington, Ohio. He's going to have a beautiful farm and raise cattle. So if that doesn't tell you enough about Cade, I don't know what will. He is truly himself all the time. It's one of the things I really respect about him, is that he's not trying to be anybody other than Cade. So he's got a strong personality. He's a good dude. I hope that's the answer you're looking for. Yeah.
Over his right shoulder, Mark Snyder, Press Pros.
Hey, Mitch, Ryan mentioned about some of the plays that he gets anguished over. You work hours and hours and hours on them, and they fail. How much time went into that short yardage play this last week that went to you?
The most recent one against Wisconsin, a ton. Because when there's the quarterback exchange involved with it, you have to put a ton of emphasis on the ball security of that. So we repped that a ton. We worked on that a ton. There is a lot of stuff. I think we've kept the faith, because it does happen a lot where we have this play schemed up for me or Cade, and we call it and we're all excited about it, and then it's just not the right look. It's not the right opportunity, or the defense doesn't give us what we want. So I think us just kind of being selfless and fighting through that has obviously paid off recently. But yeah, it definitely does happen a lot.
Other players get the ball 10, 12, 15 times, and you're going to bed every night going, this might happen, and it's your play.
Yeah.
It might happen once. That's a lot of pressure.
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely is. Just try to make the most of it. I'm not trying to be anybody other than myself. So just trying to make the most of it.
Right behind him, Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated.
Mitch, thanks for the time. This is maybe a question more about the offense than it is you personally. I'm just curious, man, how do you guys fight complacency? You're playing really well. You're executing at a really high level. The offense has come out early in the game to kind of set the tone. How do you fight complacency?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think even when you go up 21-0 in the first quarter, you turn on the film and there's still stuff on there. I think that's something that Coach Day is really, really harps on. And, even if you have a great game where you beat a tough Big Ten opponent, you turn on the tape and there's still stuff, that we could work on, things that we could be better at. I think every week we take a fresh mentality into every defense. And, I don't think that we take anybody lightly. And I think that, we don't really have an issue being complacent, because we want to be the best. We don't really care about who it is. It's always about us. That's what we say every week. So whoever we're playing, we just want to be the best version of best offense we can be. So that's really how mentality for that.
Third row left, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Mitch, it seems like run blocking has just been at a different level this year, especially the last couple of weeks. Obviously, you guys as tight ends are a big part of that. Just what differences have you seen in terms of what you guys are doing as run blockers?
Yeah, I think it's a lot. Mentality is where it starts. I think if you're not willing to put your face on people, and I think you have to be tough. But we just kind of went to the drawing board this offseason, watched a lot of tape of other people, really tried to rebite on all the fundamentals, feet, hand placement, and everything. And I think that it's paid off really well so far.
I know you're a Kyle Juice check fan. You got a nice catch the other night. Are we going to see you make a nice sideline grab like that?
We might. Keep looking.
Fourth row right, Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
Mitch, when was the first time you carried the ball in practice?
As a tight end, because I was a running back when I first got here. So, I carried the ball a ton in high school as well. So, first time I carried it in practice again was probably this year before we did the fullback dive 2 weeks ago.
So not that long. What was your phone like after that touchdown? How many messages did you have?
It was cool. It was a lot. A lot of family and friends reaching out, happy for me. Kind of the work that I put in behind the spotlight that kind of led to that moment. So it was great.
Did you give your family a heads up that was coming because you've been working on it?
Maybe my dad. I talk to my dad all the time about it. So maybe talk to him, or maybe Ruck knew that it was coming. But, that's the type of play that we don't want them to know about. So it might stay a little top secret until it gets called.
Got time for just a couple more front row right. Tim May.
I'm gonna ask you again.
Here we go.
Like I did. Does it bother you they don't call you a fullback?
I was thinking about this. I saw your interview with Zach Bourne. He was a little bit upset with me because I call myself a tight end, which isn't true. I said that you guys can call me whatever you want. Jerry, you can call me whatever you want.
I think I called you fullback or tight end fullback in the
You
notes.
did? Okay.
I think. Yeah.
I missed that. Brian Davis, doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's,
calls you Mitch.
I'm just a ball player in my eyes. And I think that's the most fullback answer I can give you right there. So, I like the mentality of fullback play. I think that I'm embodying that on the field. So whatever you want to call me works for me.
Yeah. What is that? What is that mental? You've been a tight end a little bit too. Obviously, what is that mental adjustment to play fullback? I mean, explain to people.
Yeah, I mean,
what that because obviously you might even get the ball occasionally.
Yeah, it's not huge, but I think something that allows me to be successful at the position is that, some of it is very instinctual. So when you're, sorting through like an ISO play like that, you kind of have to rely on my old running back instinct. So that's something that I've been luckily been able to tap into to help me be successful. So, and I think it's just, we play that way at tight end, and I hope to play that way at fullback, just tough, hard nosed, trying to, bully somebody.
And 2 hands on the ball at all times. I mean, when you get, what's that?
Think about it. We got a lot of people that the ball could go to, a lot of extremely talented people. So if you fumble, it might not come back to you. So I'm holding on to that thing tight.
Thanks,
man.
Right next door, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Mitch, a question about the offense, but you guys in the red zone have been really good this year as far as finishing drives and scoring touchdowns. Do you have any thoughts on just why
we work on it a ton. It's part of our plan to win the game. We look at that after every game. We analyze how we did in the red zone. Did we score touchdowns? Did we get points? And it's something that we work on constantly. Every week we have short yardage, third down, red zone, and that's something that we want to be really, really good at because, in the games where the talent equates and, it's a shootout, you got to score in the red zone. You got to convert on third down. So it's super important to us.
think fullback helps with that?
Yeah. Lately it has. It's been awesome to get the opportunity for sure.
Right next door, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Rutgers has had a very good run defense this year. What have you seen from them and the challenge there?
Yeah, Coach Chiano over there obviously is a very successful defensive coach. He's a great defensive mind, and we respect their ability to defend, and we're just gonna do our best to scheme them up, work hard, prepare well.
And final question over here, second row right, Bill Landis, Rivals.
Mitch, for as much as you embrace this fullback position, did you ever consider going to a place that utilizes blocking backs a little more than Ohio State?
I don't know if I ever took any steps, but when you watch, I remember watching Wisconsin play a couple of years ago, or the way you watch Iowa play, they rotate fullbacks, like they have multiple that play in one game. I definitely looked at that and raised an eyebrow or two, but I just kept the faith here, and I love the culture of this program, and I knew that I'd be rewarded for my hard work eventually.
Mitch, thank you very much.
Thank y'all. Have a good one, y'all.
Great job.